person. So I was wondering if
Recording in progress.
Raina or you, Barbara, and I know it's more difficult probably for you, Barbara, to take a little road trip down to the town hall.
I am not able to do that.
Okay.
Sorry.
I also unfortunately am not able to do that. We are down to only one car at my house.
Okay. I'm hoping to.
I got a live feed. I couldn't make it.
Yeah. When you get the thing from Town Hall about the meetings,
Yeah.
there's a Zoom link on that screen.
Okay, so I will get this rolling. If we have 2 children in the office, we can make a quorum if she's willing to do it. Okay, I'm gonna get this rolling, either way. So the Newton Planning Board would like to hold a public meeting on November 28th, 2023 at the Town Hall, beginning at 7:05. First order of business, I would like to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if the audience hasn't figured this out right now, similar to the last meeting 2 weeks ago, we do not have a quorum in-house for the first 2 items on the agenda. So we're trying to work through that, but in the meantime, I would like to appoint Mr. Gibbons in place of Mr. Ryan. We are trying to get Mrs. Eddy here to replace Mr. Gibbons for the first 2 items on the agenda, because I know we had to postpone you guys last time. So bear with us. So I'm going to jump ahead of the agenda.
Yeah, if, since you can't do any business on items A and B, if you wanted to move to the Thornell Road subdivision as the next case, and then come back to the 125 cases, if Mrs. Eddy is able to come.
Okay.
I may be able to be there for the 125 cases. My mother should be back shortly with the vehicle, so I will try to get there as well.
Okay, appreciate that. So we're
Yeah,
gonna,
Raina, if you're able to go, then that would be better because I could bring the 2 kids. But if you can't go, then I'll pack them up and come.
Okay, yeah, she's heading back home from Kingston, so I should be able to be there.
okay, I appreciate that. So we may have a little recess, but depending on timing. But hopefully we'll be able to get to you tonight. Okay, so the first order of business, or third order, however we want to do it, is a continuation for Mr. Ryan Norman of Newton, New Hampshire's request for a public hearing for an 8-lot subdivision at 17 Thornell Road in Newton, New Hampshire. The property is referenced as tax map 12, block 1, lot 4. Mr. Quintel, are you ready? Yes. Sorry to... You probably weren't ready for that. And unfortunately, I tried to get you guys ahead last time. We're only going for 2. And just for everybody's information, we have Miss Eddy online, Miss Barbara White online, and Miss Raina Burke is also online, or on Zoom.
You to follow along.
Sure. Thank you.
leave me couple of copies?
You want more?
Okay.
The floor is yours, Mr. Quintel, unless
Thank you.
Ms. Rodden has anything to add.
Sorry about that. I expected to be an hour or so here watching previous application, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll get through this. So Mr. Norman was going to be late tonight because he was tied up for a while. So the property is at 17 North Thornell Road. And it's tax map 12, lot 1, block 1, lot 4. And I presented, let me get the plan here.
Is there any way you could chart it a little so we can see?
Sure, or if you want some small copies, I think we have a slew of them.
I have an extra one.
You guys all have your own. Could I have one as well? I tried to figure it out last time, it was hard.
Do you want me to show it up there?
Sure.
Let me just.
Okay.
I also just sent Jim Ryan a message during this.
Okay, so made the presentation at the last meeting, and the planning board did accept jurisdiction, and the waivers that were presented were approved, and also the conditional use permit was granted. And we received comments, and since that meeting, I've made some revisions to the plans. So I'll go through those on the plans sheet here. So for the waivers and the conditional use permit, I made a note on the sheet 1, first sheet, and lot 4, that note that says that the waivers and the conditional use permit was granted at the last meeting. Sheet 3, which I'll turn to.
If I may, real quick, just so that everybody out there knows, the comments that you're talking about are from the town engineer, correct?
Not yet, but they will be.
Right, that you're gonna be talking about?
Yes.
Yes.
I will be getting to
Yeah.
that.
All right.
I-
You just so that they know where they came from.
Right, yes.
They just weren't given by the board.
Right. I will make sure of that, because I'm going to actually read through them,
Yep,
and same thing with Jennifer's comments. So sheet 3 here, I just wanted to go through the sheets because it's easier to go one sheet at a time instead of jumping back and forth. So sheet 3 shows the calculations and the requirements for the open space and the recreational requirements, and also the lot size by soil type. And so that's calculations are on the left side of the page, and the lot size by soil type are on the right-hand side of the page. Actually, Jim's got it up on the screen there, so that's helpful. Sheet 3 and 4 have defined areas for the limit of vegetation removal. I had shown on lots 2, 3, and 4 a hatched area before with a limit of cut of 60%. But actually, the deed says that the vegetation removal can't be greater than 60%, so it's really only 40% that needs to be left on each lot. And so what I show now is not a hatched area, because anybody that buys or develops each of these lots, it doesn't really matter really where they're going to be cutting the trees, as long as they leave their percentage or their square footage for each lot. So that's what I'm showing for at the top of the page for lots 2, 3, and 4 is the square footage of area that must be left for vegetation. And the calculations are at the top of the page for the required total amount, and each of the square footage adds up to what the total needs to be for that parcel of land, which was originally the town piece. I can answer any questions on that if it's not clear. So that's shown on sheet 3 and also on sheet 4. So I'm going to turn to sheet 4. And again, this is the sheet that's going to be recorded, so it's important that that calculation, which is at the top of the page, and on sheets 2, on lots 2, 3, and 4, show the square footage that needs to be remained for vegetation. On sheet 4, I also added the note 2, which is over on the left-hand side of the sheet. That was one of the comments from Jennifer about the inspection and reporting for the stormwater management. And that's one of your, I guess it's one of your standard notes that needs to be put on the plan, and that certainly is on this plan that's the sheet that's going to be recorded. Also, the waivers and the conditional use approval are noted right underneath that. And so that would be also included on the sheet that gets recorded. Sheet 5, there's really no changes to that. That just shows a better scale for the beginning part of the road construction. Sheet 6 shows, again, at a different scale, obviously, but also shows the minimum square footage that must remain for vegetation on each of the lots, on lots 2, 3, and 4. It also shows the partially, I just showed a path at the south side of Lot 7 across the upland area. It's a little hatched area that can show where access to the recreation area is, which is on the eastern part of the property. And on sheet 7, you can see that area as the open space that's on that eastern part of the property where the gas lines crosses are. Yep. And I think if the hatching comes through, I think you can see where I'm trying to show is the access from the roadway along the south side of Lot 7 that gets to that open space area and eventually to the area that goes on each side of the gas line and provides an area for recreational purposes. And certainly that can be utilized for the association, homeowners association, if they want to. I think that's all I need to show on that sheet. Sheet 8, that again, at a different scale, but it's just a match line that shows the square footage on the lot 2 that needs to be remain vegetated, and also the portion that's on the conservation land. Obviously, that's going to be left as well. So now, I think sheet 9. There's really nothing on sheet 9. I'm going to scoot over to D1, which is the detail sheet, the first detail sheet. And with that, I'm just going to go through the comments from the town engineer, Mike Vignali, and I'll go through those as he has presented them to us. So number 1 says the proposed project, a 10% grade for the center line of the road. The maximum allowed by a subdivision regulation is 8%. Also, the landing area at the intersection with Thornell Road is proposed to be 25 feet when 100 is required. Waivers for this regulation are required, and obviously we went through that on the first meeting and got the waivers for that. The second one is similar in the sense that it reviews the waiver requirement. The roadway width proposed is 20 feet with 2-foot shoulders, and the subdivision regulation requires 24 with 4-foot shoulders. Waiver from the regulation is required, which again, we went through that at the last meeting and got that approved. Third one is, again, the same thing, another waiver requirement. The landing area at the intersection of Thornrail Road is proposed to be 25 when 100 feet is required. A waiver from regulation is required, and so, again, that one we got approval for at the last meeting. Comment number 4 is about the bituminous berm that we're proposing along each edge of the roadway. For much of the length of the road, maintenance requirements are less for open drainage, no berm, than closed drainage. Understanding that this may be a requirement from NHDES, closed drainage systems are preferred and should be used whenever possible. It kind of is a requirement from DES as far as their best management practices for capturing and treating runoff from the roadway as best you can. And where that good part of the road passes over the wetlands, there's not enough room to allow the water to just drain over the edge of the road and treat it properly. So that's why we're trying to capture the water as it just approaches the wetland and just after the wetland, and get it into some catch basins, and then directing the water to the grass swale and treatment area. So I think the Conservation Commission would agree with that also, as far as treating the runoff from the street. So that's what we're proposing to do, and we think that that's what should be done. But again, your town engineer has basically stated that they'd like to see open drainage for town roads. This is going to be a private road maintained by the association, so it wouldn't be anything that the town would be required to maintain. So that was number 4 comment. Number 5, the typical roadway section depicts the top of a 2-to-1 slope beginning only a foot behind the proposed bituminous berm and at the edge of the proposed 2-foot shoulder. Same with the 3-to-1 slope. This is very close to the berm and shoulder, considering a rounding between the berm and shoulder, and the top of the slope is required for stability. Additional level area beyond the berm and slope is required. So on this sheet, I added some extra dimensioning for on the side of this roadway for beyond the shoulder and beyond the berm. So there'll be at least 3 feet from the edge of the roadway before it turns into a rounding, or before it goes into the transition to the slope. And you can see that on the cross-section of the plan that I'm showing you in the center of the plan set. So that was number 5. Number 6, check guardrail warrants and depict the guardrail on the plans and on the typical roadway section if warranted. Alternatively, 3-to-1 slope could be used. So I have provided a detail just to the left of the title block that shows a guardrail detail, and a note up on the cross-section beside the guardrail that shows that the guardrail shall be used where slope is steeper than 3-to-1, which is basically what he's saying. If it's 3-to-1, we don't need to have a guardrail, but if it's steeper than 3-to-1, then it should have a guardrail. So that's where the detail for the guardrail and the note that's shown on the cross-section. So that was number 6. Number 7, stormwater O&M manual includes a description for the detention basin. Maintenance for an infiltration basin is proposed. Please edit the O&M manual accordingly, and 72-hour basin drainage time. So I have sent those to the town. I have a couple of copies here. That shows the infiltration basin there. I'll give it
Thanks.
a copy. Again, I'll give you a copy here too, so that's.
Okay, thank you.
He gives this new set of plans, and he's been going over an alley. Just amended it.
So on the previous O&M, I didn't have that infiltration basin requirement and in there for the maintenance requirements. And those were the 7 comments from Mr. Vignali. I sent the revised plan and copy of this O&M to him. I haven't got a response back from him, but maybe he feels as though if I'm presenting the stuff and clearly shows that I complied with his requirements, perhaps that's enough. So the Homeowners Association declaration bylaws have been completed and emailed to the town. So I know you have a copy, but I've got a hard copy here. I'll just give it to Jim for your file. Declaration of covenants and the bylaws for the Homeowners Association. If you need more copies, I can make more copies of those, but that's,
I will need ink-signed copies because these have to be recorded at the same time the plan.
right, but these are draft copies. It says
Right.
drafted at the top. So after the review by the town
Yeah.
and any changes we need to make, then we certainly can provide signatures and
Yeah.
for
Can you
that.
send me digital copies?
What's that?
Can you send me digital copies?
Of the signed ones, yes.
No, of the
I
draft.
think you have those. I think I sent those.
They were sent this afternoon. I saw a copy,
Yesterday?
which is why
Yeah.
I'm sharing
Yeah.
the
Okay.
draft.
So you should have those. If you don't, by all means, I'll send them again.
I don't do email on Tuesday.
Okay. Okay, so we've got that done. We've tried to contact the gas company and get some statement from them about crossing the gas line to utilize the area for the recreation area or across the gas line. I haven't got a response yet back from them. You know, they big company and we're just little people in this part of the country, so haven't got a response yet back from that. So I know I need to do that. I know we need to set bounds, which probably the bounds shouldn't be set until road construction gets done because it'd just be knocked around anyways. We know we need to get stamps and signatures by all the professionals on the plans. We also need to have the state permits, the wetland crossing permit, and the state subdivision approval. So I think with that, I don't think there's anything else on the plans that needs to be reviewed, but I certainly can answer questions about any of the comments that I've made tonight or anything about the changes that we've done to the plans.
Thank you. Jen?
And just the one comment from Mike Vignelli about the requirement for the open drainage. It does make sense for a town-owned road. I agree with him, but this is proposed to be a private road, which he may have just overlooked that aspect of it. It would be easier for a homeowners association to maintain.
Yeah, it's a strange comment because, at least on my end, I agree with the applicant's approach. It's actually better for stormwater management and stormwater quality.
Thank you. We try to do stuff right.
It's more maintenance, but
Well, try to do it right. I think it would been better to do it this way than try to propose no treatment and argue that point. I would have had a hard time with that, so I think this is a better approach to take.
Well, I'm sure it would have caused problems for the development if nothing was done, like flooding of the wetlands and whatnot with the excess drainage.
it's more expensive.
Yeah.
We had to come up with a detention area somehow to meet the stormwater requirements, so
Yeah. Right.
this fulfilled both concerns.
Do you have anything?
Just very minor, on the sheet that you stated, sheet 3, that you thought would be the recording page, which I agree with, the conditional use permit just isn't listed with the waivers. That would need to be added.
On sheet 4,
Sheet 4, not 3.
I'm sorry, you revised it, so
Right, yeah,
yes,
it's
it
on
is
sheet
there.
4 on the,
Yeah.
Dealing with a couple of versions.
Is there questions from the board?
No, I don't think so.
Barbara,
No, I'm good.
Emily? You don't
I'm
have to
good.
respond if, yeah. That's... Questions from the public, comments from the public? Sure, just for everybody's information, please go up to the microphone, state your name, address.
My name's Jeffrey Gelcher. I live at 11 Thornell Road. I just want to understand one thing. This is for a 7-lot development, and on the agenda it says 8-lot. It's just a confusing thing to me.
existing house.
Oh, so is that, okay.
7 new lots.
So there's only 7 lots? Okay, thank you.
Just for everybody online, there's 7 new lots, but there's 8 total lots. They probably couldn't hear Mr. Quintel. That was his answer.
Because of the existing house that's there.
Right, up in the front by Thornell.
So that's still part of the project, but that's one lot which we're going to make more conforming to zoning. And there'll be 7 new lots that are across the wetland.
Thank you for that clarification.
Any other comments?
I have none.
Then I will make a motion that that we accept the plans as stated, because the plan falls within the scope of the applicable zoning and site planning regulations for a subdivision, and that justice would be served by approving the application. And I would add these conditions that legal protection for the town of Newton and liability waivers must be in place per site plan regulations, and driveway access road design and traffic technical design standards, point of access to town roads. As part of any waiver request, the applicant shall present language that releases the town from any liability for failure to access any site served by the common driveway with safety vehicles and equipment due to substandard construction, lack of maintenance, negligence on the part of any landowner served by the common driveway, and failure to maintain all season passability. Such language shall be placed on the recorded Mylar. Private roads, private streets serving development shall remain in private ownership, and the developer shall provide legal instruments to ensure their continued maintenance and ownership. All private roads shall comply with these and other town regulations in relating to construction and maintenance. Submit a recordable Mylar and wet signed copies of the docs for item 1 to be recorded contemporaneously, and set the bound points.
Jen.
Couple of recommended additions, that the homeowners association documents all be reviewed by the town's legal counsel.
Yep.
That all professionals whose names appear on the Mylars have original signatures as part of the recorded Mylar. That all federal, state, and local permits be received. I think that's it.
You got all that, Jim? We need a second.
Second.
I'll second that.
Raina.
Yep. Ms. White? Ms. White?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Gibbons?
Aye.
Mr. Eddy? Ms. Eddy?
Hi.
Mr. Moran?
Aye.
Ms. Burke?
Aye.
Mr. Marshon?
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
If you guys are okay, can I go to the last agenda item? It should be fairly quick. Okay. I would expect. Where's my paper, though? The next item on the agenda is Mr. Dwayne Schofield of Plastow, New Hampshire, requesting public hearing for an accessory dwelling unit at 39 Amesbury Road, Newton, New Hampshire. The property is referenced as tax map 16, block 4, lot 1-1A. Can you come up to the microphone, please?
We're just going for the accessory apartment. I didn't know if there was any questions that you had.
Can you pull the microphone up just a smidge? Thank you.
Okay.
So you're requesting for a accessory dwelling unit on the building that is at 39 Kingsbury Road. Jen, do you have any items?
Yeah, just a quick comment. I do think the application is complete. It seems to conform to your conditional use permit requirements for accessory dwellings. I know a question did come up about the fact that the door for the accessory apartment is on the side of the building to the right of the garage. Your requirements say that the accessory dwelling unit access has to be on the side or rear of the building. It does not say which way it has to face. So because this is behind, I'll say, the plane of the front of the building, it is technically on the side of the structure, so I think it conforms with your requirements.
Okay. Jim, can we make a note just to clarify that in our regs when we amend them or change them?
Yeah, because a regular colonial with a mudroom is got 2 doors in the front.
Just for a future, just so there's not for your application
Yep,
itself,
no.
just down the road.
Yeah, I will say the 2 doors front onto the frontage of the structure, but the second door is back to the side, even though it doesn't face that way, so.
And it is less than 800 square feet?
Yep.
Perfect. I know it's already constructed, so it's a little bit different than how we typically do things. But it does meet the requirements. So the application is technically complete in your opinion?
Yes.
This is Barbara. Jen, did you make a calculation to find out how many square feet? Because there's nothing on the application that says how many square feet. We just know it's supposed to be under 800.
It's actually under 700.
Yeah, Barbara, I just used the measurements that were part of the application with the schematics. I didn't do the exact calculation, but it's under 800.
Do you want
Okay,
the
great, thank you.
number, Barbara? I'll do it for you.
Mr. Moran, I believe it's 667 square feet.
Did you miss one?
I missed one, but that seems approximately correct. I'm a couple feet short, but I was doing it live.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Okay. Anybody, any other questions on the board?
Nope.
We have to make a motion to take jurisdiction of this.
As stated.
Second.
That was Mr. Eddie seconded and Barbara thirded it.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mr. Eddy? Aye. Ms. Burke?
Aye.
Mr. Marshon?
Aye.
Ms. Eddy?
Aye.
Mr. Gibbons?
Aye.
And Mr. Moran?
Aye. So opening up to a public hearing. Any questions or comments from the public?
Step right up to the mic.
Sure.
If you could just move to the side, please.
My name's Robert Moore. I live at 41 Amesbury Road. Whoever lives there, I'll be their closest neighbor, and I have no objection to what they want to do.
Okay. Thank you.
It's all good. Thank you.
Any comments from the internet, Zoom? Hearing none. Any additional comments from the board?
No.
I guess we'll have a motion to accept.
Motion to approve.
Yeah.
The plan falls within the scope of the applicable zoning and site plan regulations for accessory dwelling units, and that justice would be served by approving the application. Conditions present, obtain all local and state permits, include an occupancy permit, and a copy of approved septic plan must be put on file. And ongoing, the limits for accessory apartments are as follows. Pursuant to RSA 674:71 and 674:73, the planning board is hereby authorized to grant a conditional use permit to allow for accessory apartments in accordance with the restrictions and requirements of this section to increase housing alternatives while maintaining neighborhood aesthetics and quality. An accessory apartment shall be permitted within all single-family dwelling units, maximum one accessory apartment per property. The property owner must occupy one of the two units. No more than 2 bedrooms are permitted in the accessory apartment. No more than 4 people shall occupy said apartment. Off-street parking should be sufficient for both units, must be provided with a space minimum of 4 vehicles. The septic, as we just stated, shall be adequate for both units per New Hampshire water supply and pollution control standards. The accessory apartment must be attached to the primary dwelling unit. Accessory apartments are not permitted in detached accessory structures on the same lot. The accessory apartment shall have convenient and direct access to the primary dwelling unit, a connecting inside door, and that's in parentheses, in its own separate entrance and exit, so that there's 2 entrances and exits to get in and out. Appearance shall remain that of a single-family resident. The new entrances for the accessory apartment shall be located on the side or rear of the building. We've already discussed that. The size of the accessory apartment shall be a maximum of 800 square feet, which you are well underneath that. The primary dwelling unit and the accessory apartment shall share common utilities, including well, septic, heating, and electrical services. The design of the accessory apartment shall be such that it would be readily adaptable to conversion into part of the primary dwelling. Meet all safety codes, and once again, the utilities must be shared by the main house and the accessory apartment.
I'll actually delete that since it's a duplicate.
Jen, did you have a comment? Or no? Okay. So can I have a second
Seconded.
for whatever, for what Bob just read? So seconded by Raina.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mr. Eddy? Mr. Marsham?
Aye.
Ms. Burke?
Aye.
Ms. Eddy?
Aye.
Mr. Gibbons?
Aye. Excuse me,
And
aye.
Mr. Moran?
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoy your new home. It's coming along very nicely.
Okay, thank you for the patience. Mr. Gibbons is gonna step aside. We now, I'll let the people leave the room. Now have a quorum in-house for the first 2 agenda items. So the first item on the agenda, or the third item, however you want to do this, is a continuation for 125 Development New Hampshire Court of Plastown, New Hampshire's request for a public hearing for a 4-building site plan off South Main Street in Newton, New Hampshire. The property is referenced as Tax Map 14, Block 1, Lot 27-3. So this is a reapplication. However, we received correspondence from the applicant or their legal counsel. I'm assuming that's you.
That's me, yes.
I'm going to paraphrase some of this. You can step in and correct me, change it, state your side of the story afterwards. The applicant provided some correspondence to the planning board yesterday. We sent it off to our legal counsel to get opinions. And based on their opinions and what's presided for I'll say the last 18 months. We agree, or it's our legal counsel's opinion, that the board can retroactively grant an extension on the previous notice of decision that was dated the 30th of March of 2023. I believe that's the correct date. And yes, we can.
Right there.
And that, and to summarize your letter, you basically, main things for us to allow an extension, that there was no change in the zoning ordinance since the submission. There hasn't been significant changes in the project plan. And it hasn't been that long since it expired. Do you have anything to add to that?
I mean, really nothing beyond my letter, so.
Yeah, I was trying to just
No, I appreciate that.
just, summarize that, so it was a 3 or 4 page letter, as well as some case documents to support your argument. So if the board decides, we could vote on retroactively granting extension with the note that if there are any changes in the design during the state review process with the alteration terrain, fish and game, the Wetlands Bureau, and DOT, that you would have to submit revised plans for the board's review and consideration. So
That makes sense to us.
okay.
That's-
So with that said, we would have to have you asked to withdraw the current application. We could talk about refunding application fees, because that obviously it wouldn't be an application. And then continuing the previous application. Did I get all that?
So for that component of it, you would need to make a vote to extend the application from its expiration from September 30th. I'd recommend you simply extend it 6 months from that date to their original approval, which would be March 30th, 2024. So it would basically end up being they would have a full year extension. I'm sorry, a full year to comply with their original notice of decision.
So it's not 6 months from today, it's 6 months from
6 months from the original period. I understand.
expiration.
That makes sense to me.
Did you have anything else to add? So that's kind of my spiel. I'm not sure if you have anything to add.
No,
to that?
I think, so are you going to vote on the waiver first, and then I'll withdraw the new application?
I would do the withdrawal first, just so
We
that's
want to withdraw
cleaner.
so that that's
So,
off the
that's
table.
fine. So I'll withdraw the new application without prejudice. Thank you.
Perfect.
Accepted.
Do we have to, no, they just withdraw it?
They withdraw it. There's no action the board has to take.
So then we would have to have a motion to,
I will make a motion that we retroactive it 6 months.
Seconded.
To March 30th with any changes in the design requiring an amended site plan.
Exactly.
which is the same conditions that we,
Right. The same conditions that were already present.
Okay,
So all those existing still apply.
okay.
But just to be clear, it wouldn't be an amended site plan. If something changes
Right.
based on the
Right.
state, it would be a revised plan that they would have to
Right.
come back to you for.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
And
Rena
that's actually
seconded.
in the original.
so for clarification, Bob made a motion to extend the notice of decision to the 30th of March 2024 with the previously stated conditions.
Exactly.
Correct.
Raina seconded it.
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. White,
Proud of you.
Aye.
Mr. Eddy? Ms. Burke?
Aye.
Mr. Marshon?
Aye.
Ms. Eddy?
Aye.
Mr. Moran?
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Thank you, folks. I appreciate you guys doing it. It wasn't my intention to put you guys on the clock. It was really the Thanksgiving holiday. Anyway, I appreciate you guys moving quickly on it, so thank you.
No problem.
Jim, sorry.
We will need the withdrawal as a wet sign document for the file.
So you want it in writing?
Yes.
Can I send something out tomorrow, Jim?
Excuse me?
Can I drop it in the mail tomorrow?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
And I'm assuming we can get the application fee back?
That would have to be released by the Board of Selectmen because application fees go into the general fund. As the NEPA account, there's been expenditures for abutter notices, public notice.
But we can,
I can get that very quickly, but only the Board of Selectmen can release.
Jim, put it together and put it in my folder for tomorrow, please, and we have a meeting tomorrow night. We'll address it real quick and take care of it.
So I would recommend that then, if the planning board is considering the refunding of the application fees, that you send a correspondence to the select board asking them to release the fees, if that's the path you want to go down.
okay. I can do that.
I would
Do we have to make
I would do a motion.
Motion?
I'll make a motion to send the letter and for Jim to put it in my folder so that I can present it to the board tomorrow night.
I'll second that.
One comment I'll make. After tonight's meeting, I don't work again until Thursday. I will not have time tomorrow night before the selectmen's meeting to.
You don't have to come before the board, just put it in writing so that I'll have it to be able to read to the board.
I know, but I have to dig out the paperwork to see what it was. The application fee goes to the town administrator. The file goes in, gets into the file. I'll try to get it in tonight. Okay, Ms. White?
Aye.
Mr. Eddy? Aye. Ms. Burke?
Aye.
Ms. Eddy?
Aye.
Mr. Marchand?
Aye.
Mr. Moran?
Aye. Okay, so that is all set, correct? There's nothing from.
I think so, yeah, and the next one's Barry's show, so I'll step down. And I'll get you a letter tomorrow withdrawing the new application.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
Thank you, folks, I appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Next item on the agenda is the continuation of 125 Development New Hampshire Corp's request for a public hearing for a 44-unit residential development and private roadway for their land off Puzzle Lane, New Hampshire. The properties are referenced as Tax Map 14, Block 1, Lots 1-1, 2, 27-3, 27-6, and 27-7. Do you think you could spend like 2 minutes, Barry, and just refresh us?
Absolutely. Good evening. My name is Barry Geyer. I'm with Jones Beach Engineers here for the applicant. This project the intent of the project is to construct a 44-bedroom multifamily project on lots 1.1-1 and 2. This will be in 8 5-plex units and 1 4-plex unit, so a total of 9 buildings. On a cul-de-sac, it's about 535 feet. And to construct the remaining roadway necessary to connect Puzzle Lane from phase 1 of the Southern New Hampshire Industrial Park project to phase 2, which is about 4,400 linear feet. Since the last meeting, we submitted updated plans that address the comments from the board, the town planner, and the town engineer. The highlights of which are the relocation of the extension road outside of Plastow, addressing the comments regarding the roadway proposed from the town engineer. We provided septic system designs that are in the package that you have. The landscape plan has been provided for the development area, and lighting, lighting plan has been updated as requested. Additionally, a hydrogeological report was completed. The conclusion of the study was that no adverse impacts are anticipated due to proposed development. The constructed project does require wetland impact of 7,494 square feet. This is all for, the wetland impact is all for the construction of the proposed extension road, none for the 44-unit development specifically. We also require a wetland buffer impact of 64,018 square feet, all but 5,275 of which are for the roadway. There was some questions to the buildings. It's my understanding that the buildings meet building code, ADA, and have been reviewed by the fire department. The applicant is also committed to installing fire sprinklers. We are currently before the ZBA for multiple variances required for the construction of the roadway. We'll be in front of the ZBA next week. The project does require several state permits, including an alteration of terrain, a state permit for the water system and the septic systems, and also the wetland permits. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions or go anything the board would like.
Thank you for the refresher and summary. Jen?
Really, my main comment is that I do think because of the revisions to the roadway, for at least the roadway section that they have pulled farther into Newton, you do need Mike McNally's comments on those.
Okay.
Which to my understanding has not been received yet. Also getting his review of the septic design that should also be part of the update. Those are my two big comments. Just to reiterate though, this project cannot go forward unless the one that we heard just a few minutes ago goes forward, so.
Okay, so in your opinion, it's technically complete? And
yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, this is
Yes,
Barbara. I
Barbara.
have a question. Is this time for me to have a question?
It's time for you to have a question.
Okay. Mr. Geyer, can you answer me on, I was looking at the schematics here for the bathroom and stuff, and on all of the handicapped ones, it says future grab bars. So does that mean that although you're advertising these as handicapped, accessible, you're not going to install any of the grab bars in any of the bathrooms?
No, they will be installed, even though it says future, they will be installed.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, you have to step up to the mic.
And we haven't opened it up yet to public comment yet. No. But we can get there. Emily, do you have any comments, questions?
No.
Okay. Anybody?
No, I'm good for right now.
And we have to take, no, we've already taken jurisdiction of this previously.
No.
No, you will not.
Okay, so we would have to make a motion to take jurisdiction, as it's technically complete, knowing that we may need comments from Mike, or would you recommend holding on that?
No, I think it's complete enough for
Okay.
taking jurisdiction. The plan may still shift, if they don't get their variances, it might shift quite a bit.
Yep.
But I think as far as the planning board's concerned, it is a complete application.
Okay, so we can start.
As stated,
So Bob made a motion to take jurisdiction,
Seconded.
seconded by Raina.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mr. Eddy? Mr. Marsham?
aye.
Ms. Burke?
Aye.
Ms. Eddy?
Aye.
Mr. Gibbons?
He's,
Oh, sorry, he's recused.
Yep.
Mr. Moran?
aye.
That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other questions on the board? No. And Miss, you can, if you want to get up and state your name, address, and your question.
Chris Herman? Is it an elderly complex? You're talking about handicapped accessible bathrooms?
So the proposal is not slated to be for elderly housing, although that would not preclude someone who is elderly from living there. So it's 44 one-bedroom apartments.
And it's going where the puzzle factory was?
No. It's going on that huge piece of property, but it's going more towards the
Trucking place?
west, yes, west-east.
Here,
Okay, well,
I mean west-south.
You
Here,
do
I'm
have
gonna-
to go to the microphone.
so just for orientation, so this is Route 108, it's South Main Street. So this is Puzzle Lane. So you'd go in through Puzzle Lane, it turns then into a private road, you would go past some existing buildings. Farther back, this is where the proposed 44 units are. This is Sergeant Woods, just for reference.
Barry, it's half a mile of road?
yeah,
Approximately a half a mile of road.
yeah, here's the trucking place here, okay? My property is right here, okay? And if, I don't know where their access road is going, okay, but my stream is right here. And if there's an access road going next to my street, I object completely.
So the proposed roadway is fully within Mr. McDonough or 125 Development Corp's property.
So do you know where the Lawton Tax Office building is?
No.
It's just before the oil company on 108. Where, you know where Dunkin' Donuts is?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so before Dunkin' Donuts
yeah.
is the
Oh, the
oil
fuel
company.
place, yeah.
And then right before that is a small strip building. That's Lawton Tax Offices, and there's some,
Yeah.
that's where the road's gonna enter from over there. And it's gonna go in onto the property as you see up there.
Yes.
And it's gonna come around and end up connecting on the backside of Puzzle Lane.
So it's going past where Lawson Tax is?
Yes, right in that, on that piece of property in there.
Right.
So this is where the tax place is. This
Yeah.
is where Mr. McDonough's property
Right there.
is. This is where they're proposing a road that will go in, loop around. This is where the 44 apartments are being proposed. It's a very long road.
No, I'm confused though, because I thought on the other side of my property that was all wetlands. So I'm confused.
You live on what, Howard Lane?
No, I live at 159 South Main Street. My property, here's my property here, okay? I own the woods there,
Yeah.
and there's Puzzle Lane. And the trucking place is over here, but I still own the woods here.
Yeah, well, this is further, way further down by that Lawton
So there.
tax firm where it's not wetlands right there.
Okay, okay.
And then as was stated, the housing units are gonna be up in the back corner, which they already had conversations with, I'm drawing a blank, thank you. And they discussed it and they set an area so that it's mutual for both parties, so that they won't interfere with one another.
Okay, so just from my clarification, and maybe a few other people, you reside just south of Puzzle Lane?
Yeah.
Yes. You live closer to Haverhill on 108 than Newton?
No, I live in Newton.
But
I think she lives right next to Puzzle Lane entrance.
the red dot is your house?
Correct.
Okay, so you're south of Puzzle Lane.
Okay.
This is approximately 3,000 feet west of you in the woods,
Yeah.
which is, just as a reference, about halfway to the,
Where you have your cursor is about where she lives.
You're not gonna hear a thing?
it's a half a mile away.
Yeah. So if you hear anything, it'll be very minimal, what's coming through the woods while it's being built, but that's it.
Yeah, but not for anything. Who would want to live next to all that? And the joke is, when we originally built at 199 South Main Street, the town told us that nobody could build around us. And sure enough,
So this has been zoned industrial since,
She needs to,
you actually need to go to the microphone, but this has been zoned industrial since 1976?
Yeah, it's been several decades.
Okay.
Peachy days.
Jen, do you have any additional comments?
You might have more public comment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good evening. My name's Tom Alberti. I live at 2 Ridgewood Road in Plastow. I'm speaking regarding the driveway, roadway nearest to Plastow. Also represent our homeowners association, Greenfield Hill Estates. One question I have is I've seen several variations of this plan, including the most recent, but on the ZBA request, and I recognize it's a different board, but it also includes a random loop in there, which I do not see on this plan. Is this the most recent accurate plan that the applicant is presenting to this board? And can we assume that the awkward random loop is no longer included? The loop would be at that first bend near tax map 71, lot 7. It was roughly in that location. And again, that was on the ZBA application.
Correct, yeah, they did away with that. That was the whole idea of bringing it all the way into the town of Newton so that they wouldn't have to get the variances as would be required from Plastow.
And this is the latest submittal.
Okay, great, thank you. And I did want to say, and again, I recognize this is the planning board and the ZBA is a different jurisdiction and authority. You know, the request for the variance for their roadway is significant relief, about 75% of what the setback actually is stated as. Considering that, I think the applicant's going to be hard-pressed to find that they meet any of the 5 standards, let alone all 5. And again, I know that jurisdiction falls within the ZBA, so my only comment on that is in terms of conditional use, or excuse me, conditional approvals, and I'm not sure if you'll get there this evening, but I think this is a pretty significant variance request for any consideration that it would be one of those conditional approval type items. Again, those are typically saved for, you know, driveway permits, DOT permits and such. So just want to put that out there. And I know the important piece is going to be whatever the response is on the variance request.
So I'll just say that I purposely don't watch the ZBA meetings or pay attention to them, just to reduce my conflict, and I'm not sure if you have anything to add. So I really don't know what they're reviewing right now. Do you have something to?
I guess my only comment is at this point, because you've taken jurisdiction this evening, so if the ball's in your court, you have 65 days. I do think it would make sense, and it would make sense for really the applicant proceeding forward, for you to continue this application, continue discussion to see what the ZBA does next week, because if the variances aren't granted, they may need to tweak the roadway. If they can do that during the course of while they're still with the planning board, that reduces the need to ever come back. So.
Yep.
And you also recommended that, and maybe, when is the ZBA meeting? Next week?
Next week.
I'm just looking at orders of operation to reduce everybody's time as maybe the best path forward is if they move forward with ZBA grants the location of the road, the waiver request, then it can go over to town engineer's review, or would you do it the other way around?
I would have Mike Vignelli review what has been presented.
Okay.
If it doesn't get approved by the zoning board, then they have to go back to the drawing board anyway, but those can be concurrently happening.
Yeah, we would agree. I mean, Mr. Vignali has everything that the board has, so I know he just hasn't had time to review it all, but I mean, we are in front of the ZBA next week. Hopefully, then in 2 weeks, we could be back here with the variances. Or maybe it's 3 weeks, I don't know.
It is 2 weeks, and then the following is the day after Christmas. So the 12th and the 26th.
Since you've now taken jurisdiction, I was reminded to remind you about the possibility of a site walk.
Okay.
But that was for the new members that have never been on property.
Is there access out there? Generally?
I don't think they'd want people walking around without
No, like for guided access. Like, is there a roadway?
It can be accessed.
Thank you.
Yeah, a site walk is a publicly posted meeting of the planning board.
Correct, if the planning board wants to have a sidewalk.
I was just for everybody's clarification, making sure we weren't working 3,000 feet out in the woods.
Right, yeah. Well, I don't know if by vehicle, if it's currently accessible.
Okay, we can cross that bridge if and when we get to it.
I don't mind walking 3,000 feet out into the woods.
Sure. Another question from the public.
My name is Steve Beck, 20 Ridgewood Road in Plastow. I'm an abutter to the property. Barry, you mentioned this evening that there's an electrical plan that's been for streetlights on this road. I was wondering if the applicant would be open to discussion on what type of lighting, having set through many iterations of this plan, baseball fields, everything. Lighting is a huge issue because we abut this property. If you light that road up like a Christmas tree, it's a concern to us. So I don't know if there's already designed lights for it, if you could comment on that, and if there'd be a possibility of speaking with the applicant and maybe just using down lights for street lights as opposed to broadcast lights.
Yeah, if the board would.
Sure. I haven't heard the ball fields in a long time.
So, just to clarify, the only place we're proposing lights is on the proposed cul-de-sac for the 44-unit development. The extension road that's going from Puzzle Lane to Phase 2 won't have street lights on it. All the proposed lights are dark sky compliant, so they're full cutoff. So it's only to light the area around the proposed residential buildings.
Again, maybe not my purview, but I'd be shocked if you would allow a road to be built that isn't lit. That's well, I guess it's still a private road. Is that right? Okay.
They don't light public roads these days anymore.
Yeah, we pulled,
Phase 1 has no street.
I think the town of Newton, it was probably before your time. The Board of Selectmen pulled most of their streetlights, a majority of them.
Your roadway, even if this was going to be a public road, does not require lighting.
Right.
No.
And any lighting that you have on any proposal has to be dark sky compliant. That means it has to be that full cutoff.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you drive around Newton, the only places you usually see them is like at a major intersection.
I think that was 6-7 years ago.
Yep,
The Board of Selectmen decided that.
trying to save money. No, I'm kidding.
I think that's actually what it was about.
No, it was for the light pollution. Come on.
I think it was a couple $100 a month for a light. Okay. Any other comments from the public? Anybody online, so I don't miss anybody? I see no hands. Okay. Barry, do you have anything else?
And I will remind the board that I will not be able to be here December 26th, so we want to make sure that we get positive for people to be able to be here.
Are you continuing to the 26th or just the 12th?
This is going to appear the 26th. I'm saying, so the board has a meeting December 26th. I will not be here.
No, the next meeting, Bob, is the 12th.
Okay.
Yeah, I would continue this to the 12th.
Well, yeah.
That works for you guys?
Yep.
And I think it's probably, until they get notification of the variance either way, or comments back from Mike Vignali, there's really not a whole lot that they will be providing to the board for the 12th.
Correct, yeah, unless we, yeah, as Jen said, unless we get comments back that, require changes, these will be the plans. I don't know if the board has any other questions that we could address in the meantime, but.
I have one that I want to address to you, and you have your pen in hand. I have a new resident at 10 Howard Lane. Her name is Ann Barden. And I respectfully request that when you start sending out any other further abutter notices, that she get notified, because the person, John R. Bowden, who used to live there, no longer lives there.
So we won't be sending out any new abutter notices. They're noticed at the beginning of the project,
Yeah.
and then it's continued to a date specific, so
But just so you can make a note on your files, please.
we'll do.
Thank you.
Did you have something, Jim? No? Okay. And then just because everybody's really busy, especially around the holidays, if there's drastic changes next week from the ZBA and you can't make it the 12th?
We still have to show up to request a continuance,
Right.
Okay.
unfortunately.
They can't do that remote?
They can submit, they need at least one representative as best practice.
But the board has to show up.
Yeah, the board does have to show up on the 12th.
I'll be here. I hope.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll be here the 12th. I just won't be here December 26th.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to put on the agenda for the 12th.
Okay.
Whether or not the board wants to cancel the meeting of the 26th. Simply because there may be other people who are not here that,
Let's talk about, let's close them out.
that's why I'm putting it on the next agenda.
Yeah, let's put them on the, if that's okay with you guys,
Yep.
December 12th.
Yes, that works.
All right, so we're good.
So you,
December 12th.
you should do a motion to continue it.
Motion to continue to December 12th.
Seconded.
Ms. White,
Aye.
Mr. Eddy,
Aye.
Ms. Burke,
Aye.
Ms. Eddy,
Aye.
Mr. Marchand,
Aye.
Mr. Moran.
Aye, thank
That's
you.
unanimous.
Thank you, and thank you, Ms. Burke, for coming down so we could be heard.
Okay. You sure you guys don't want to stick around for the rest? Next is acceptance of the meeting minutes from November 14th, 2023.
Let Mr. Gibbons have a seat.
He's moving, he's moving.
I'm gonna need a bigger place to keep all my planning board stuff.
You're gonna have to get a briefcase, a big one.
I have a big a little filing cabinet now.
So Mr. Eddy made a motion to accept the meeting
Seconded.
minutes. Seconded by Mr. Marchand.
Ms. White,
Aye.
Mr. Eddy, Mr. Marchand,
Aye.
Mr. Gibbons, Ms. Burke,
Aye.
Thank you,
Ms.
gentlemen.
Eddy,
Have a good night.
Aye.
and Mr. Moran.
Aye. Next is approval of the NEPR manifest for $40.71.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
And just for the record, it's some nominal postage and mileage for the Norman and Schofield applications.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that last.
I said just for the record, it's nominal postage and mileage for the Norman and Schofield applications that we heard tonight.
Ms. White,
People know where the money's going.
Aye.
Mr. Eddy,
Aye.
Mr. Marchand,
Aye.
Mr. Gibbons, Ms. Burke,
Next is the 2024 budget and schedule, since we had such a lively discussion last meeting on our budget and schedule.
Okay, it has been confirmed that January 23rd is the presidential primary, so you will not have a meeting on that day. So next year, you will only have 20 meetings instead of 24.
Did you say January 23rd?
Yeah.
Okay.
January 23rd, yes.
Just so everybody knows, Jim Ryan offered to come from the airport here.
Okay.
Thanks, Jim.
That does need a motion to adopt.
Motion.
Seconded?
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mr. Gibbons?
Aye.
Mr. Eddy?
Aye.
Ms. Burke?
Aye.
Ms. Eddy?
Aye.
Mr. Marchand?
Aye.
And Mr. Moran?
Aye.
It's unanimous. I will be posting that on the website ASAP. Next item, moving right along. I presented your last budget to the selectmen. I was asked to review the numbers, and I have.
Motion to accept.
Seconded?
That was quick. Is there any discussion from the board?
Well, one of the things that I will tell you is that if you look at the salary line, what I did was I calculated my average for this year, added my PTO and holiday days, and well, not a very big pay raise possibly next year. You're looking at $29,700. But you have to remember that my hours are driven by the number of public hearings and the number of applications we receive and how much work the applicants require. That's a very realistic number. I worry that the circuit rider contract number that I was asked to reduce, which I reduced to 8,500, may be shy, because if you remember this year, we prepaid some of the circuit rider bill using the previous year's money, and this $2,990 that we've spent so far this year to date does not represent the past 3 months, because I still haven't gotten that bill. And if anything, I would ask that you authorize me to put into, shoot, the word indemnify is going to come out, and that's the incorrect word. To save some money from this year to pay that bill when it does come in, because in 2 weeks is the last vendor manifest for the selectmen for 2023, even though the month continues. If the bill comes in after the cutoff date for that manifest, it's going to be pulled out of your 2024 money. And I would like to see the board retain $2,000 towards the price, towards that expense.
Well, if it's dated previous, even though the last manifest for this year coming out, I want to say, as long as it is dated previous to December 31st or before, it will get applied to this year's budget. So as long as we get the bill, even though it's going to get paid afterwards, it'll come out of this year's budget.
Can I quote you, because it hasn't in the past?
Well, I will talk about, with my peers tomorrow about that.
Okay. I would hate to see my reduction in the circuit rider contract being further reduced because suddenly on December 20th, I get the RPC bill, it's for $3,500, but it gets taken out of next year's budget, and that would scuttle the budget.
Do you have a comment, Jen?
Just a couple of comments, I guess. You know, if you guys want to prepay some items, that's fine. We're flexible. We've done that with other towns. We've done that with Newton in the past. It does sort of sound like, and I'm just looking at these numbers, like there might be roughly $5,000 or $6,000 of your circuit rider budget that you have not accounted for, even with the additional 3 months. On occasion, when towns have had this happen, and it's unusual, or they've had other like line items, we can sometimes put that towards general technical assistance that go towards things like master plan updates. I just put that out there as an option. And the third point is really one of the reasons why you've had such reduced cost with the circuit rider fee is you prepaid a little last year. The housing grant has paid for a good chunk of my time. Like me physically sitting here talking about housing for any length of time, I have not charged that to your circuit rider contract, I've charged it to your housing contract. Now that's gonna continue for about another 7 months, and I'll be able to do that to some degree, but after that, that does go away. So you've had some savings, you've gotten the $40,000 from that granting fund, we might get another $12,000 for doing the groundwater work next year. We haven't heard on that grant, but I suspect you'll be successful in getting that. So I guess my point is there is other funding coming, but to maximize some of your planning funds you already have dedicated, it might make sense to try to use what you already have. There are some zoning items that I typically can't dive into. I don't have the funds available that would be good for the town to look at. Purpose statements, revising RSA, state law references, state laws, just cleaning up the organization of some of the zoning, not necessarily making anything stricter or more difficult, just making the procedures a little bit cleaner. There are those types of things that I very rarely have the opportunity to work on with your zoning. So there is definitely work to be done if you would like to do some work on that stuff. So I think you have some funding maybe to accomplish that, but it's just a recommendation. Obviously you have the whole town budget. I understand why the selectmen are trying to get a default, or not go to the default budget again. So I fully understand that, but just some points to put out there.
Yeah. So, and like you said, and I discussed it before too, that we have the capability of going into the consultant services if need be to use that money to pay for you and your services.
Okay. So Bob, you made a motion to accept, Raina seconded it.
And Mr. Chair, I'll remind the board, because they asked me to. A year ago, the board put as one of its infinite goals to look at the home-based business with the gross vehicle weights. That is because that's part of the zoning ordinance, that will require a public hearing and what have you, and it would have to go on the ballot. But as we see more and more home-based businesses coming forward, I think that it's endemic upon the board, and it's endemic upon me to remind the board that what is there now is not just nor fair to people simply because vehicle weights have increased.
Totally.
As I look at the board, I think I have the only truck driven by anybody in this building that would actually be under that gross vehicle weight, and that's a little tiny Ranger.
So yeah, so anyways, if we're gonna do it, we need to get the warrant and it needs to be in for the beginning of January.
I was just
We would
gonna
like
say.
to, as the select board goes, have them all in so that they can be reviewed hence before then.
I feel like we're skipping ahead on the agenda. Wait.
Just because you're on this topic, if you want to do that small zoning change, it is a small one, then at the December 12th meeting, we have to have the language ready so that then the board can put it to public hearing at your meeting either on the 26th of December or your first January meeting. Those are the drop deadlines. You can't do anything past those.
If the board would like, I can double check on gross vehicle weights with Mary Jo, our town clerk. And it's simply going to be a case of swapping existing numbers out for larger numbers.
It's going to be 26, less than 26,000.
I will put it on the next agenda with your permission.
It will be the 26,000. I've gone through this with other towns. If the board is comfortable with that small change, and that could be a motion to move that small change in the zoning to public hearing on December 12th, and then you can have the public hearing. It will probably be a small attractor of the public, to be honest. And then if you vote to move it to warrant, you can do it on December 12th.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you'd need a motion to.
Do we have an open motion on the budget, though, correct?
Okay,
Yes.
can we get the budget motion?
Yes, let's,
Okay.
Okay.
I was gonna say, we haven't completed
Ms.
the
White?
budget.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mr. Eddy?
Aye.
Mr. Gibbons?
Aye.
Ms. Burke?
Aye.
Ms. Eddy?
Aye.
Mr. Marchand?
Aye.
Mr. Moran?
aye. Okay, now we can talk about vehicle weight.
All right.
But we'll skip to E, then go back to D.
That's fine.
That was bothering me.
Motion.
No.
So now, yes, if we're all comfortable on the 26,000 gross vehicle weight rating,
Should be.
then somebody wants to make a motion.
Can I just ask why 26,000?
That's CDL.
Yeah, it's,
Because at that point, you're talking about a Class B 10-wheeler, and we don't want
Basi-
10-wheelers.
Yeah, it's the number of axles.
With that
They
weight.
actually don't want six-wheeler, the tri-axle, anything on.
Yeah, it's anything over 26,000 pounds, if it's used commercially, you need a commercial driver's license like
Right, okay.
we have, I guess. And then
I will still check with
you can check
town
with
clerk because the box vehicles, like some of the are a little bit less than that, and actually those are inappropriate sitting in people's driveways. However, the present weight, Mr. Moran's truck, Mr. Marchand's truck, the minute you call that a commercial vehicle, or that's owned by your business, you can't park it in your driveway for a home-based business.
do we classify commercial? Is it commercial
so
vehicles?
let me read the actual provision. So this is under home occupation, home-based business. Home-based business, there shall be no outdoor activity or use, including storage and parking of commercial vehicles or trailers exceeding 12,000 gross vehicle weight, except for provisions of employee parking. So you do use commercial vehicles.
I would keep it as commercial because if you don't use the word commercial, it complicates things. People that have recreational vehicles,
Yes.
those are in excess of 26,000. But you also don't need a CDL to operate those vehicles, and
Correct.
typically not registered commercially.
Right.
So the intention, just correct me if, would be to replace the 12,000 gross vehicle weight with 26,000 gross vehicle weight.
Right.
It's just changing those two
That's
digits.
it.
All right. And that's of section 12B2.
So I believe Mr. Marchand made the motion to take that to a public hearing on the 12th.
Yeah, and Raina seconded it.
Yep.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mr. Gibbons?
Aye.
Mr. Eddy?
Aye.
Ms. Burke?
Aye.
Ms. Eddy?
Aye.
Mr. Marchand?
Aye.
And Mr. Moran?
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Okay, now back to D. Invest New Hampshire update and master plan housing chapter.
Yep, so over the past couple of weeks and then going into December, I'll be working on putting together what will be sort of the education outreach material for this next engagement phase. It includes the draft goals of the master plan chapter that we've discussed briefly. It includes the outreach from the survey that was done this fall, giving the updated statistics that would be in the master plan chapter to then solicit public feedback. The intention would be to have something second half of January where you'd invite the public. We can do it at a planning board meeting, like say take the first 45 minutes. But I'm also going to put it up on what will be like a little mini website. It'll sort of look like where the survey was if you went and took the survey. It'll just have more background information along with the survey results. So if people can't come to the public meeting, they can at least still see the information. We can put the recording of that meeting up there as well. We can have the draft information. People can still comment. So it's sort of like a hybrid public engagement event, but it will have an in-person component with the main presentation. The other thing that has been going forward is the regulatory audit. So that's looking at your zoning, site plan, subdivision regulations to see, okay, what do you have? What could you tweak to allow for more housing opportunities, or what might you want to not necessarily change, but alter that might be procedural things or things that you might want to really keep because it is, while it is a restriction on housing, it is beneficial for, say, wetlands, ecological purposes, and environmental protection. So it's looking at it from a bunch of different vantage points, but also giving you background as to why you have some provisions, why you might want to change things if the goal is to increase housing opportunity and diversity. The workforce housing thing is a vein of all of this, but it is mainly opportunity, not necessarily solely targeted towards workforce housing.
Right.
So my intention would actually be to present that to you probably January, first week of February. I'd like to be able to do that, honestly, before any changes to the board, just because you guys have been the ones working on it.
Totally.
It's not a document you have to approve. It's not part of the master plan. It's a reference document so that if there are funds available going forward to work on some of those zoning changes, you have the background tool to be like, well, we looked at it, we studied it, we did some education outreach to see what ones we might want to pick from. It gives you good backing if you were to go for a regulation change and or seek grant funding to do that work. So.
Well, the good news is that this year there shouldn't be much change, right? Because Raina just got elected, the Eddies.
That's true.
That's not, I have this up. My term is up, Miss Eddy's term's up, Mr. Ryan's term's up.
Oh, because they're staggered. Yeah, that makes sense. So I hope all of you will run again and all of that, but there is likely to be potential change come March, even if it's not most of you.
And Mr. Gibbon, wait, no.
This is an appointment.
No. Till 2025.
Say I'm still here for a few more
Mr.
years.
Chair?
Yes.
I have a question. This is Barbara. We had a lot of discussion about changing that gross vehicle weight. Did we actually make the motion to take it, to put it on the next agenda? Did we actually do that yet?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure we didn't miss it.
Yep, thank you.
And one of the other things that the selectmen had talked about is that we would like to see if the planning board, and I brought this up before, could get another committee to get involved with the CIP to pick that back up and push it over the finish line.
Are you volunteering?
Actually, that is by warrant a requirement of the planning board to complete.
Yep.
And by the way, I will call tomorrow and see if the ad that I'm placing for, that's coming out for the 12th, if I can increase it to add the gross vehicle weight.
I think you'll be able to do that.
I'm not worried about the budget, it's,
Is there anything else?
Did we want to talk about December 26th while we were all sitting here?
I can tell you I will not be here, but I can remote in if you need me to
what, on the 26th?
on the 26th.
I don't see why I shouldn't be here.
I should be here unless we get COVID or something,
Right.
which is like a 50% chance.
I'm on Christmas break on the 26th, so.
It will be on the next agenda whether or not to hold or not hold the one for,
Bob is not here.
Yeah, Bob won't be here.
right.
Irrelevant.
So that's two of us. So there's only 3 people sitting here. And depending
You
on what's
guys
coming
around?
up on the agenda, that would be
You could
only.
say
I don't
no.
think we have actually any plans.
I plan on being here, but depends on what's on the agenda, if I'm actually here or...
Right. Or just pretend here.
Right, exactly.
Well, we could table it till,
Yeah, the 12th.
do we have any applications coming in? Other than what we just heard?
I'm working with 5 applicants. I don't know when people are going to have their paperwork done.
Okay.
You have 2 more subdivisions, 2 more ADUs. And actually, sorry, there's 6, and 2 more home-based businesses. One of which I know has vehicles that weigh 1,440 pounds of gross vehicle weight.
So your application deadline is Thursday?
Yes.
For the 26th. If you get applications, you will need to meet on the 26th.
Right.
Okay, that's fine.
So if that,
See that?
That's why it's on for the next agenda, because at that point I will know that if there's nothing planned for that day, that evening, and Ms. Rowden doesn't say, gee, I really want to do thus and such, it'd be a nice Christmas present to people.
I'm missing my calendar already for 2024.
Proud of you. Proud of you.
I think I have an extra one up here.
Do we have a meeting on the 3rd or no? Sorry, the 2nd? No, we definitely
no,
won't.
you have one on the 9th.
The 9th,
Because you're the
yeah.
2nd and
'Cause we have the
4th Tuesday.
26th. Okay. I'm available. It's up, it doesn't matter to me. Do people, you're in, you're 50/50.
I think you gotta wait until Thursday. I think you can't call it.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll talk about it next 2 weeks from now.
Sounds good.
Okay, meeting adjourned at 8:40.
Awesome.